Hello, everybody. Thank you for returning to our YouTube channel. I'm Brian. This is Matthew Kredikin, former Navy SEAL. We are part of Technology United for Ukraine. We bring innovative technologies to the Ukrainian civilian population and military. If you're an engineer, scientist, technologist, anybody who just wants to help out Ukraine, links in the description. We need you. Come join us. We need nonprofit volunteers to come help me out because I'm not the best at it. Anyways, let's get into this. We are going to talk about Matthew's the topic he really loves, ITAR. So Matthew, you go ahead because I don't know a lot about it. I just know I don't want to violate it. But go ahead, talk to us about ITAR.
Okay, so yeah, ITAR, International Trade and Arms Regulation, something like that. There's another one called EAR, economic. I'm trying to remember what it is, but basically, so ITAR is the regulating.
Could you say that arms. Again, Matthew? You cut out. Sorry, the screen froze. The economic what?
So ITAR is like International Trade and Arms Regulation, something. It's something like that. And then there's another one called Export Administration Regulations, or EAR. So EAR is like more your dual use kind of commercial stuff. And then ITAR is more directed towards your primarily military type stuff. So there's a set of different munitions, and the idea, which everybody nods along and says, oh yeah, this is a great idea. They don't want, anybody and everybody, selling the cool weapon systems to anyone in the world. So it's a way of regulating that. So on a broad scope, like, yeah, okay, good idea. Let's like not give F-35s to Russia or sell our latest super radar system to the Chinese. But, it gets down into the minutia on a lot of different technologies. And in a lot of cases, it kind of ends up backfiring on helping out the United States. So like you'll see something like level 4 body armor. That's an ITAR item. Like you can't sell it without waivers and exceptions. Now, if you're in personal use, you can take it and use it. But if I were to take a level 4 body armor is basically a 30-aught 6-round with armor piercing. It can stop something like that, or like a PKM. It would stop like a PKM armor piercing round.
Level 3. Why is that though? What's so important about that armor? What makes it so?
Well, I think maybe when they put the regulation in, they're like, oh, this is like the newest armor, and like to have this armor means like people can't, it provides a significant amount of protection. We don't want to give it away to the enemy. But what's happened over the years is that everyone makes level 4 body armor now. The Chinese make it in huge, mass quantities. Like you can go just about anywhere and everywhere and get level 4 body armor. But if you're from the U.S. or you have some U.S. connection, you basically can't sell it to anybody else in the world without going through a lot of paperwork. And just the threat of that paperwork, basically keeps investing. Like if you were to say, hey, I'm going to make this new company that's going to make body armor and we're going to sell it to all these markets in the world. The investors aren't going to, like any investor worth their salt's going to look at that and be like, nah, no, you're not. Because if you screw this up at all our investment money will go to get trashed because you guys will go to jail and the company will get sued and everything will get locked up. So, if there's any kind of market in the world for a startup, they have an extremely hard time entering those markets. So I would say it's a real issue because the U.S., let's say, has the lead in a lot of technological things. And we're not talking even super high tech stuff, but even like medium level tech. Let's say, for instance, there's a lot of companies right now working on visual targeting navigation type systems. Well, everything done on the edge, it can fly itself. There's U.S. companies, a number of U.S. companies that had that technology. It works just fine. They basically can't sell into any of these markets without a excess amount of waivers. And so they essentially don't bother addressing it. Now, there's maybe some exceptions that they could, but there's enough gray area that even if it was legal, if somebody in the regulatory department that oversees that decides like, well, we're not 100% sure, let's go look. Now you're involved in a court battle, and even if you prove yourself that you're innocent, it doesn't matter. You just ate 5 years of your time for an existential thing about your company. So not only do you have to, if you're talking business, not only do you have to know it's legal, you have to like 1000% know it's legal if you're really going to do any kind of substantial business anywhere. So now that's significant when it comes to like new tech, and then also getting a good price for new tech, because the guys who can pay all the lawyers to do this stuff and who have the inside track are your big military industrial complex. So ultimately they like this kind of thing because they have the inside track, they have lawyers, they have the senators, they have the congressmen. So if they need to get approval, they can get it. And that's called regulatory capture. So, basically what you see, that's why, you can see some drones over here made by some companies are literally $200,000, while an equivalent drone made by the Ukrainians that's actually better than that $200,000 drone is $3,000 or $2,000. And it's because they have captured these systems of regulation.
And we proved that with the fiber drone, right? We developed a very inexpensive fiber drone. Right. So, very inexpensive compared to what you would buy it on the market.
Yeah, I think there was one last year that was selling for, I don't know, was it 10,000 plus?
Yeah, that was a cheaper one. And there's other ones out there between, I think that was, somebody was trying to sell that in Ukraine. They had, dumbed it down apparently as far as thought they could. And other ones, I think there's other ones out there for 40, 60 if you go to a German company or this company. But yeah, they're just ridiculously overpriced. And we did it for what, a $250 kit for any FPV drone.
Right. And yeah, so and then like on some of these technologies, if you're a US entity and you develop it, well then it's ITAR. But if the Ukrainian company developed it, they can sell it to anybody. There's no breaking the law there. So there's basically a significant advantage now to all everyone but the US to develop new and better weapons tech. And I guess the part where this gets really significant is that all the new and up and coming weapon systems, are the vast majority of them, are based off commercial components, so mass producible items. And we're basically the US laws are inducing everyone but the US to have the latest and greatest technology in these spaces. And not only that, it probably accelerates the propagation of these technologies, because instead of having a company that would be aligned with the US making the system, putting out for a fair price, having people buy it, they're just stopping any kind of participation by a US entity. And then you have a bunch of homegrown entities build up to fill that need. And when they do that, when they produce a product, like there is no regulation whatsoever on it. So that stuff's probably going to propagate much faster than if you just had an available solution that could address the market and would actually reduce the possibility that someone would put time and effort into building their own individual solution. So it's just something that like just gets me.
I know.
Gets me wound up because they're so. Yeah, it's just so detrimental to the U.S. at the end of the day.
Do you think it affects how we help Ukraine, though? Do you think with Ukraine, if America had their hands untied, because it's a proxy war, everything has to be very inexpensive, we could do more there if we didn't have all these crazy ITAR regulations?
Oh, it would be a huge difference. You don't realize how many technologies would be here right now if the ITAR wasn't an issue. There's a huge amount of technology. We would be fucking knocking shit out of the sky left and right. Like, I know plenty of technologies that could be over here tomorrow. Tomorrow. Like, put it on a plane as fast as you can fly it over here. They would be in here smashing things. And you would actually get to test technology. Like, it's a mostly a fabrication that the U.S. is over here testing lots of weapon systems and understanding how warfare works. No, they're not. They're not. They're not doing that. Like, there are a handful of examples that someone might trot out to try to say, oh, no, you don't know what you're talking about. But no, there's tons of these companies haven't brought stuff over. Some of it's ITAR issues. Some of it's just the perception that Ukraine's dangerous. So, I think one of the quotes I saw the other day was $70,000 for 6 months for insurance to pay a engineer to just be in Ukraine, like a Western-based engineer to pay Lloyd's of London for life insurance and that kind of thing. So, yeah, but that gets outside of ITAR, of my original rant. But there's, let's just say, a plethora of regulations that hamstring us for no real benefit. And this is a very important war and conflict to win. I think regardless of what your general politics are in the West, like, there's a tyrannical force that's seeking power for power's sake, nakedly in the open, killing people. Like, all this killing is happening because there's a tyrannical force that decided to come forward. Like, all the bullshit about, oh, we're afraid they'll join NATO, we're afraid of this, we're afraid of that. Like, NATO would have smashed them years ago if it wanted to. They didn't smash them because they have nukes. Like, full stop. Like, I'm not saying the West is perfect. Like, there's enough things to point at with oddities and from Iraq and Afghanistan and Syria and whatnot. And we can get into that later, but I think it's pretty damn clear that there was lots of opportunities for NATO to go smash and dismantle Russia if it had so really wanted to. And even now, if NATO really wanted to mess up Russia, they could start just bombing all of the key infrastructure. Why don't they? Because of nukes. Like, simple. Now, why is Putin really afraid? I think it's actually pretty simple. It's a cultural thing. If the Ukrainians, have independence, and it'll be like another West Germany versus East Germany type scenario. Oh, look at these guys over here are more prosperous, doing better than us, and you have a more open, free society with less corruption, less regulation, and less tyranny, and then it's going to weaken his grasp. It's not that NATO is going to attack him. It's that, well, I mean, not physically attack them, but I think it was more of a cultural thing, and that's more what he's afraid of. So, yeah. Plenty more to join here if we want to.
So we'll do a part 2 on this because it's obviously interesting, and maybe we'll bring one of our other members on here who deals with ITAR. He's in the U.S. government. We'll bring him on. I think you guys will have a great conversation. So I'm actually connect with him, and he'll come on here. So it should be real interesting. You two guys talking, because he's the guy who signs all the ITAR paperwork.
Right.
So everybody, we appreciate you coming. Look for the part 2. It will be coming out. And again, Technology United for Ukraine. Please, if you'd like to join us, we do need help on our nonprofit side. We have amazing things that we're fundraising for, and we're going to be showing you some of that stuff, and it's going to be game changing. All right, everybody. Thank you again, and Slava Ukraini.